Furiosa, the new Mad Max saga film, or the non-Mad Max saga film, as some are calling it, is currently bombing at the box office right now, and this is a very disappointing time for us movie fans, and even, of course, Mad Max fans. The Fall Guy recently came out as well with Ryan Gosling. That is bombing at the box office right now, too. So, we got two great action films that have just came out, and they're not doing numbers. There's many reasons why Furiosa is not doing the numbers, and I'll go into that later on. But Furiosa starts off with Furiosa as a child. She's taken from her home, and her mom sets out to try and bring her back. But things take a dark turn once they run into the villain we know as Dementis, who is played by Chris Hemsworth, and he is my standout performance in here. He stole the show. Not taking anything away from Anya. She was great. Love her as an actress. Versatile. She played the action role. She's badass. She was badass. Honestly, she did it well. But Chris Hemsworth, he had the best performance in here. He played Dementis, who's a sick, twisted, charismatic villain to the core, honestly. And Dementis literally has, like, the word demented in it. So, we know that dude's he's a sick person. But Chris Hemsworth, hats off to you. You did a great job. Now back to what I was saying. After they run into Dementis, he basically captures the mother, tortures her, and murders her right in front of Furiosa to, I guess, teach her a lesson, or at least, I don't know. He's a sick fuck, man. But that's what happens. Furiosa is obviously scarred for life, as any child would be, or anyone would be, who have to see their parent die in front of them. Dementis claims her as his own daughter. He takes her under his wing, and she lives with him for quite some time, until ultimately she is brought into Immortan Joe's army. You'll find that out when you watch. I don't want to go into everything, but she cuts her hair, disguises herself as a boy for obvious reasons, because living as a female at the time for her was dangerous. So while she's a boy, she's plotting her revenge, working for all these jobs, and her whole mission is to kill Dementis and basically bring justice for her mother and peace for herself. So that's the basics of it. The first 40 minutes is really her as a child, and it dragged on slightly, I will say, but it was enough for me to stay engaged into it, so I'm not really complaining, honestly. Now, Fury Road, let's get into the main comparison difference is the action and missing Mad Max, which is why, honestly, a lot of people didn't go see this, because Mad Max is in it. But the lack of action in here is obviously extremely noticeable when you compare this to Fury Road, but that is okay, and that is kind of expected, because this is a prequel film and it's a background film of Furiosa, and so of course we are going to see more character development in here and plot building and storytelling, as opposed to just non-stop high action, compelling, badass sequences like we saw in Fury Road, which is okay. Now I do want to say Fury Road is way better than this movie, okay? It's amazing. Fury Road's probably the best action film ever made for me, at least top 3. So I just got that way. But Furiosa is still a great film. As a standalone action film is great, and even part of the Mad Max installment franchise, it is great as well. People are complaining because, like I said, because Mad Max isn't in it, but we need to understand that this is a prequel, and that Furiosa was vital in Fury Road. That movie is pretty much centered around her. Mad Max is in it, yes, and he really stands out. Tom Hardy kicked ass, but that story's centered around Furiosa, so it's not like this is just some character we never heard of and that's irrelevant to the whole Mad Max franchise. She's very vital, and I think she's an interesting character that I'm glad they built upon and made a prequel for. Now, not everyone agrees, so that's why a lot of people are not coming to see it. But this is a great film. It does the storytelling good. It does revenge good. The finale is slightly anticlimactic, but I think it is satisfying because it served justice well, and it was dark. It was a dark finale, but it served Dementus right for what he did to Furiosa's entire childhood and basically scarred her for life and changed the person she is. But good film. Please watch it. It's failing because it didn't get enough advertising and because they decided to place this a whole decade after Fury Road when the hype died down with Fury Road, obviously. Even when Fury Road debuted, it wasn't even praised until years after. And that's why I think they should have came out with Furiosa. But what can you do? George Miller. I love George Miller. But we need more Mad Max films, guys. Anya was great in here. I wish there was more of her, but please watch this film, guys.